What are hallucinations? Well, according to the standard definition, hallucinations are sensory experiences that have no physical source. Simple, right? Wrong. You see, the brain isn't capable of recreating things it has never seen before. So how do all these people hallucinate things so complex that they can't even describe them with words? Today I spoke with Ryan, who had a supernatural encounter in his 20s, and there is no question that he believes that what he saw was very much real.
Yeah, we were just hanging out in the living room, a few friends, and a couple of them, they kept going into the bathroom, I think. And then they would come back and then they would go back in and then they would go back. I'm like, what are you guys doing? And I would ask them, what are you guys doing? And they said, oh, you don't want to know. You don't want to know. Just don't worry about it. I'm like, well, how are you going to tell me that? I got to know, like, what are you guys doing? And they tried, no, you don't want to know. You don't. Sure enough, I convinced them, let me see what you're doing. And they were smoking something. And I said, give me some. I'd do anything on the table, So I said, give me some. And I ended up smoking this stuff. I don't even know what it was. And I guess I did a lot of it. Because I remember saying, oh, I don't feel nothing, and so I kept doing it. And I guess I did a lot.
And you said you didn't know what it was. What drug was it now? Did you figure it out?
I'm guessing it was crystal meth.
And what happened? Because in the beginning, there was nothing. And then eventually, I imagine it started to kick in. And what happened at that point?
It wasn't good. Whatever it was, it was not good. I felt horrible. Like, I didn't know where I was. People will say, well, she was just spun out, which may be true, but it was anxiety, fear. I didn't know what was going on, where I was. I was a mess. And I remember telling them that, I'm a mess. And then I remember taking other stuff to try to counterbalance the way I was feeling. I took other stuff to try to feel better. I was drinking, smoking weed, and taking pills, which would probably, be downers, some kind of pills that were downers. So I'm trying to take all this stuff to try to fix the way I was feeling. And that just made things worse.
Right. The problem, I think, it's very easy to see in hindsight that you had no idea what this was. And then you kind of lost touch with reality to some aspect. You were so confused that you're trying to fix the problem with other problems. And it created a whole mess. But throughout all of this, even from the beginning, it wasn't a pleasant high. It wasn't fun. But that made it a lot worse. And you had some sort of hallucination or spiritual encounter. I'll let people decide whatever they think it is. But tell me what you saw once you started really feeling the effects of all these things together.
Well, I was a mess. I was just an absolute mess. And I remember we went from that house to my apartment. I had an apartment. And I was really not okay. I've already said, I was anxious and scared and all this stuff. And then I remember I said to somebody, I feel like I'm dead. And then that person thought it was funny to be like, well, you are, you are dead. And then I think a couple of my friends were having a good time with me and they had me fully convinced that I was dead. And I, in my mind, was 100% convinced, like, wow, really? I'm dead? Like, I was in the afterlife, I had died and this is where we're at now. And it's not bad. And, it's just the way it is. And I was 100% convinced that I was in the afterlife and I was dead. And that's when some of my friends, they said, why don't you lay down? Why don't you lay down and try to sleep? Because I was terrified. And when I lay down, my heart was pounding. And I remember some entity, some being from below, like from the earth, just kind of wrapping itself around me, like his arms or roots coming from the earth and just wrapping itself around me. And every breath, it would squeeze tighter and tighter. And it was like it was squeezing my heart. And it was actually really comfortable, very dark. And as it would squeeze every breath tighter and tighter, it would pull down into the earth. So it's like my whole being, my whole self was being dragged down into the blackest of night, into the dark, and at the same time squeezing the life out of me. And it was so comfortable. And this like entity could communicate. It was like talking to me. And I remember it saying, come with me. You don't have to go to school anymore. You don't have to get a job. You don't have to work. You just come with me. And I'm like, really? Like it's all over? Like I could just go with you? And it's like, yeah. And it was so comfortable. And then I asked him one question. I said, wait, I thought of this. I said, will I ever see my mom again? And he said, no. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. But he started struggling. I started fighting these roots or these arms, this grasp that he had on me. I started wrestling and let me out of here. And I freaking broke out of it. And then I woke up in my bed. And I was just, what was that? Like I was so freaked out. I didn't know what that was. I had a near-death experience, I guess. That was it for me. I was a hot mess and I needed help. And I was very, very confused.
What did you believe in at that time in your life when it comes to spirituality? Because you mentioned you were an atheist. You thought your mom was crazy. Did you believe anything when it comes to spiritual world?
All I knew was that my mom was the nicest, most amazing woman on the planet. And she was that crazy Christian lady. So I had to know there was something to it, you know?
But nothing about like that specific being or demon or earth thing that could have been from your subconscious. That was not like a thing that you would have thought about on your own.
No, I was just a happy-go-lucky, partying young idiot. Just a young kid.